But when was the last time somebody checked on you? I know you exhausted from carrying all that ass. Back hurting cause your booty big? How you doing? You alright? First of all, thank you for that donk. I don't feel like you hear it enough. But rest, my dear child.
Over the last few days, I've shared some posts from women that were in their 20s that are talking about how they are done with men, they're done dating. And these women are in their 20s. One woman was like, I haven't even dated. I'm just looking around. I'm looking at my parents' experiences. I'm looking at the experiences of women around me. I'm just not interested. So this was posted in the Women Dating Over 40. It says, why do some elderly women choose to live alone rather than get married again? And it says, the comments are fun, and she gives this Facebook link. My homie Sovereign FemFudge says, hey, hun, this is perfect for you in our community, and tagged me in. At first, I couldn't see the link, but then she sent me some screenshots. Let's look at what these women are saying over on Facebook. Mental Health with Amoye says, why do some elderly ladies choose to live alone instead of getting married again or having a partner? Is it because they value their freedom and independence as they age? So that's the question. Let's look at some of these answers. Sue Wallace at the bottom says, because men are too hard to train. I am 66 and been married 29 years. If he should pass before me, I am done. I was a single mom of 2 for 9 years before I remarried. I am too old to teach a new dog old tricks. And then Sue Bowden says to Sue Wallace, mine finally learned to push the button on the dishwasher. After my loading it and cleaning the kitchen, he now feels proud of himself. That one made me laugh. He learned to push the button. She says she has to load it and clean the kitchen, but he can touch that button. Beverly says, maybe because after years of indentured servitude, we're not anxious to do it again. And then Sue Bowden says, our spouse might have been worth our efforts, but not a tag-along problem in old age. And then Shireen says, nailed it. Kim says, we learn one man in life is enough. We don't want to go through it again. Women can live without a man. On the other hand, a man doesn't let his wife's body get cold until he is hunting for another woman to take care of him. And then Sue Bowden says, I agree. Men never learned domestic things. Men never learned domestic things. That's the reason why when on Threads the other day, I posted, teach your boys to cook and clean and wash their butts. And I got so many people just liking the post. But for whatever reason, the men, they were like appalled that I would even say that. Shireen at the bottom says, enjoying their peace and no point in risking their assets. Laura says, I couldn't agree more. I'm not giving up my freedom, independence, or income for no man. It's not worth it. When we as women get older, we don't want to be bothered. Elaine says, older men that I have met expect to get a whole lot more than they could possibly give. I'm a strong, independent woman that enjoys my own company. I have 4 sons, 3 daughter-in-laws, and 4 grandchildren, and my sister and her family. I don't want to lose a minute that I can spend with them. My 4 sons are like 4 times my overly protective daddy on steroids. He would be so proud. I had a very profitable auto upholstery business many years ago. Right after someone asks me out, it's immediately what upholstery work they want done, or we could open a shop together. Yeah, I can work for them. Or their grandchildren want quilts, etc., etc., etc. No, thank you. Women are not signing up to have a job. And to them, what she's saying, that relationship would be a job. Sandra says, I chose not to get married or live with a man again. Part of it is because I am tired of taking care of a man, waiting on him, begging for what little attention he might want to give. I do as I want, when I want, and ask no one for permission. The other reason is because so many, not all, men think women are just punching bags and enjoy being told how worthless they are, as both of my husbands did for years. So yeah, there is that. Janet says, lots of reasons. I love my own company. I have a great circle of friends and have lots of activities, not at home very often. Sue Bowden again says, some might have loved their husbands and feel no one could replace or have anything to offer to make an elderly relationship worth the time and effort. Gail says, could be health issues, maybe. Do not want to be bothered sharing their bathrooms. Donna says, my experience, I've seen men remarry in order to be taken care of. Been there, done that, not gonna repeat. Chrissy says, it's called peace of mind. Tina says, it's peace, simply peace. Celia says, not elderly, but I am a senior woman and marriage has zero benefits for me. After being married for 29 years, there's so much joy in living alone. I have yet to meet a man whose presence compares to the sweetness of my solitary life. Peg says, I'm not a nurse nor a purse. Anna says, peace. Cynthia says, is that even a question? We have been through adulterous men, liars. We, the women, have money. He does not. Alcoholic men, narcissistic men, and complete phony to get in. Oops. I almost forgot. We have a house and a great car. So that's some of the comments on Facebook. I'm going to fill up the rest of the time with the comments from the Reddit post. Mind Traveler says, once the rose-colored glasses of reproductive drive come off, to a growing number of women, marriage just doesn't seem like a fair deal for women. Studies continually show that most married women carry a greater workload than their spouses. Most males earn the most, partially due to social gender bias in employment. And most believe their higher economic standing entitles them to do less or no housework, manage the family calendar and social commitments, shop for necessities, etc. Many men insist their stress is more deserving of relaxation than their wives. Some elderly women just want to be independent and free, sometimes for the first time in their lives. I must have missed the comment on Facebook that said this, that hush everyone is referring to. They don't want to cook, clean, and change adult diapers while being insulted. Point blank, period. We're not doing that. We're not going to get insulted. We're not going to get insulted while changing adult diapers. The OP Clara says that this one made me laugh. Jabebe says they just want to rest. They've earned it. The Wolf of Panic says, too much work for no reward. Winterfold at the bottom says, per my grandma, she did not want to wash another man's socks ever again after my grandpa died. And then No Dana Only Zool says, my mom said the same thing about my dad, but replaced socks with underwear. And then Confident Shame says, my gram said the exact same thing. She was divorced, then widowed by her second husband. Later on, she eventually met another gent at church counting the offering. She really enjoyed his company in her golden years, but refused to allow him to move in with her ever. They were together till he passed. She says, I'm never folding another man's underwear as long as I live, and she didn't. So this is what some of the older ladies are saying. I do want you to go ahead and chime in. Let me know what you think, but I think it's pretty self-evident. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I saw this post yesterday. Not Capping America posted this video of this man, and he captioned it, this is exactly why men are experiencing a loneliness epidemic. They don't even perform emotional labor for each other, let alone the women and children in their lives. I went over to the post and grabbed the video, but there are some things that I want to talk about before sharing this video with you. This man, he was asking his friends group some things about what he was going through. He went through a terrible breakup last year, and he was asking his friends group some simple questions that they should have known if they were checked into this man's life. They couldn't answer anything. This is precisely why there is a male loneliness epidemic. They're lonely even amongst their friend group. And so where women would typically be their emotional dumping ground, women would typically be their emotional shock absorbers, women are pulling out of dating, marriage, even some are not even trying to interact with men online. Because even someone like me, I will be like, no, you're not going to come into my spaces and be sexist, be misogynistic, be bigoted. And they come in like, you're fat. That's the reason why you're a single mom. They just want some attention because they're not getting any kind of attention, negative or positive. So we see that they are spiraling because they don't know how to adapt. The patriarchy has created a toxic masculinity that does harm women. Women are harmed physically, mentally, emotionally, financially by toxic masculinity in men. but toxic masculinity harms them too. This is the reason why many of them have the emotional intelligence of a rock. I was going to say a turnip, but a turnip probably has more emotional intelligence than many of these dudes. So the thing is, this is how they're socialized, and it's not necessarily their fault that they are socialized this way, but we know that there is a problem, but they don't want to shift it. We women, feminists, are like, it's the patriarchy. The patriarchy puts emotions and feelings in the realm of female. So if a dude has the capacity to be vulnerable, has the nerve to be sad about something, and displays some outward, something outward that shows that he's sad or hurt, his friends group will say something like, you're just being gay. Like, they have such internalized homophobia, or you're just showing vulnerability, that anything that's not anger or passion or confidence gets labeled as gay. And that's not funny, but this is the reason why they can't even be vulnerable with men, but women are pulling out and not trying to be their emotional dumping grounds. Women are not trying to be their emotional support humans anymore, because there's no reciprocity. Like a couple of months ago, I was talking about this article that was talking about man keeping, and single women are saying no to relationships because they are tired of being their men's everything, like, because these dudes don't have any friends. Something that I was thinking about during COVID-19, or just even thinking about flu season, can these men call up their male friends if they're sick to bring them some food or something? And I was just like, I wonder if they have anyone that would come and take care of them. At most, I bet you these dudes would be like, send them some Uber Eats or DoorDash or something. But I know that women, we have actual friends. I remember when I had a C-section, I had people bringing me food, sending me gift cards for food, just taking care of me because they knew that I would be down. Do these men have that same type of support system and the capacity to care about someone else other than themselves? This little thought experiment from this man, it was very interesting to me, and I certainly want to hear your thoughts on it. Here's the video.
You know how people say men don't know anything about their friends? I made a game to put it to the test.
I went through a breakup this year. It was really bad.
Don't ask her name.
I had to move out of my apartment. I left New York. Broke my heart. What was her name?
Ah! I didn't know why. I didn't really know why you moved or anything. I didn't know you had a girlfriend. I had no idea. I'm really sorry about that.
You know what? I actually thought about it more before I asked you, and you have met her.
I also don't know this.
What's this game show? Fuck Dan. Yeah, sounds Gen Z female.
I'm thinking
No, he's on to something. Let him cook.
Let him go.
I'm feeling the letter M. It's either Madison or Mackenzie.
Is there an M in the room?
I'm gonna say Mackenzie.
Yeah, is that your final guess?
That's how I guess.
It's absolutely not Mackenzie at all.
Here are some of the comments that were under the Threads post. So Spriteful Stuff is a man. He says, hey, I know you're really mad at us for the way we are, but it's literally how we were educated, and we didn't get to start our emotional intelligence journey until much later. It's like calling an Amish person a moron for not knowing how to use a mobile. Don't mock them, teach them. He gets a little sarcastic and sassy here. There are some lovely responses from some that would do well to realize and appreciate the privileges they have. I'm happy that therapy is so cheap and available to you, but for 80% of the rest of Earth, men and women, it's not as simple as you put it. Ignoring that for generations, women were taught to be more open with their feelings to each other and not had their aggressive reactions encouraged, is looking at the problem dishonestly. I'd encourage you to take a less Western-centric look. Right here where he says, don't mock them, teach them. I do not believe that men are open to listening to women, because I have been a woman for a long time, existing in social spaces. When I tried back in the day, when I actually had some empathy and grace for men, they would not listen. We would have these conversations. I would type things out in a caring way, but they don't listen to women. And so how are you supposed to teach someone that is unwilling to listen? When we as feminists talk about how the patriarchy harms us, but it does harm men as well, how patriarchy harms children, which are boys, and boys grow up to be these men that are toxic. Why won't they listen to us? They won't listen to us because when we talk about toxic masculinity, they think that we're saying all men are bad, whereas we're saying that the systems that the boxes that we're being put in are bad, and we need to break these boxes. But these dudes are not willing to put down their privileges, even when the toxic parts harm them as well. The Mr. Milan says, this is wild. When me and my best friend lived together, he and his girl broke up, and he literally crawled into my bed and just cried. I held him like a brother. I'm not going to let my boys go through this alone, never ever. And that is amazing because he allowed his friend to be vulnerable and he comforted his friend, whereas other men that are not like this would code that as being gay. Like seeing a man cry, seeing another man comfort a man would be coded as gay. And it's not. It's seeing someone having a human experience and doing what you need to do to support that person. Where do they learn this? Because they're not learning it from us, because learning would require them to listen to us and know and understand that emotions have to go both ways. It can't just be them dumping on us. It has to be them understanding us and listening to us and being okay with hearing our vulnerabilities and not using vulnerabilities against us. But they're not ready to open up their brains to use that emotional intelligence and be a fuller person. They're emotionally stunted. And I don't believe that many are ready to grow as a human and have these human experiences. It's Just Meek says, I'm here for you because you're here for me. We replenish each other in a true form of connection. As they say in the USA Army, no man left behind. I'll carry you until I realize you are making active actions to bring us down. Busy Worker Bree says, when I see things like this, it makes me think that maybe some men are telling the truth when they say things like, I didn't know he could act that way. Some of them literally know nothing about each other and just bond over the bare minimum. Susie Parker says, the bar is in hell, so that tracks. I like what Dancing Little Hippie says. She says, may I present my theory? Men make friends based on shared interests. Women make friends based on shared values. That's why supposedly leftist progressive men will still stay in touch with their MAGA huffing conservabro podcast listening friends, while a female friend group on the outside looks like a hyperfemme, a tomboy, and a goth who seemingly wouldn't have anything in common on the surface, but bond over their values and shared girlhood experiences. There you go. Women can find some values to connect them. These dudes are like, yeah, let's bond over football. And that's basically it. But they could still stay in touch with all these other people because what they do in their private lives is none of my business anyway. They can think how they want because it's none of my business anyway. They can treat women how they want because it's none of my business anyway. They don't make their friends' business their business. That's the reason why their friendships are so surface level. Mother Modiste says, this is actually genius. Dancing Little Hippie does a little curtsy. That's what the video is. And Jennifer at the bottom says, this is exactly why they deserve to be lonelier. This is all self-inflicted, and I refuse to feel sorry for them. At this particular juncture, that's where I am. I'm more in alignment with Jennifer. It's self-inflicted, and they don't want to do anything to change it. Beautifully Ridiculous says, right. He moved across country for a romantic partner, and you didn't know but call yourself his best friend. No, you ain't. You ain't to him, and he ain't to you. Like, my girls don't even have to say anything. They can just text and say, I need to talk. And I already know most likely what the topic is going to be in 3 guesses or less. Why? Because we are invested in each other's lives and therefore outcomes. Jesus, men need to be lonelier. And with that, I'm going to end it. This just goes to show, though, ladies, it's working. Keep pulling back, pull back, pull back, pull back. Because if you pull back, these men are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to figure out how to be emotionally intelligent. They're going to have to figure out how to connect with us on a human level if they want women to come back into the fold. If not, they're going to have to figure out how to be emotionally intelligent with each other. So if they don't treat you like a friend, if they don't treat you with basic human dignity and respect, stop talking to them and block them. I think that this is working on a large scale and the shift is here. But you chime in and let me know what you think. I was tagged in this post a few times, and in this very short post, there are several red flags that I see. Big age gap, love bombing. They've only been together for 2 months. They met online. He just got out of a relationship. Just so many red flags going. And the young lady is defensive. I was tagged in it, I'm sure, because of the stance that I take that women should not give their 20s to a man. And this is absolutely what she's doing. The reason why I didn't tackle it yesterday is because I do not believe that this young lady is particularly receptive to the advice that she's being given. But people want me to do it. They keep on tagging my name. So here I am. She put this in the relationship advice subreddit. So obviously she knows that people are going to answer her. But she's 24 and he's 38. She's 24, he's 38. Is he too old for me or could this work? Yes, he's too old for you, but okay. She says, hi all. So I'm 24 and have been dating this 38-year-old man for about 2 months now. We met online and had a great first date. From then on, we've been pretty much inseparable. I basically live with him. He treats me like a princess. Before me, he was in a long-term toxic relationship on and off for like 10 years and finally broke it off, which is the main reason he's not married with kids. All he wants is to be married and have children, and he tells me if that's not something I want eventually, there's no point in dating. I do love him and can see a future with him, but my parents keep telling me I'm making a huge mistake and that I'm going to regret it. On top of that, I try to read Reddit posts to make me feel better, and they say this age gap of 24 and 38 is creepy and to leave now while I still can. We have fun together and like to do all the same things, and he's been very respectful, kind, and caring. Am I missing something? She's been with this man for 2 months. She's basically living with him. She's very young, and she's talking about she loves him after 2 months. Everybody in the comments is saying, run, this is not right. This is love bombing. I don't know if he's future faking or not. He could want marriage and children, but we don't know if the relationship was toxic or if he was toxic to that woman. He could be telling her anything. You do not know a person in 2 months. You just don't. Parisian Jerseyan says, you haven't mentioned if you want kids and if you do anytime soon, that kind of matters. She says, I told him the earliest I want to have them is 28. Classic Ice T says, is he okay with that? And she says, yes. I commented on the post. I said, you are 24 and in the advice sub. You're getting advice and don't really want it. I understand. I and many other women know that some people have to touch the stove for themselves to learn a lesson. No one is truly in love in 2 months, and that's not long enough to see the real person. And many of us women over 30 understand this. Your parents understand this, but you need to go through it yourself. There's honestly nothing anyone can say on this post. You're going to see this out, which is your right. I would suggest that you don't isolate yourself from loved ones or become financially dependent on him. That is my only 2 cents. I said that on the post. Most of the people are just saying break up. I get it. But some women just know all of the things. There are some of us that knew all of the things at 20. Some of us had to go through it. I do understand. I knew most of the things at 16. I knew it. I'm being sarcastic. I did not know anything. But many of us think that we know all of the things, and some people have to go through it and hopefully not come out on the back end, financially harmed or mentally harmed or having kids that you weren't ready for and all of that. Some people can go through some bad relationships, learn the lesson and not repeat it. But then some people can take advice. They can see other people's experiences and try to avoid those same obstacles. She's going to be the person that has to go through it. Honoris Tourist says, way too old for you. You're too young to realize how wrong it is. Don't make the biggest mistake of your life that could cost you your youth. And she says, but why is it wrong? And then Safe T 404 says, do you want to skip parts of your life that he's already outgrown? Are you ready to skip the fun and learning experiences that you could have in your 20s? Are you ready to change the things he considers immature, things that would be understood as normal for your age and place in life to people you're in your own age range? I'm the same age as that guy, and 24-year-olds look like babies, completely different stages of life. That almost 40-year-old man might be excited that a 24-year-old is into him, but he's going to start wanting you to change. A 40-year-old isn't going to want to go through early 20 stuff again. Edit to add, the babies thing isn't meant to be condescending. I just mean the age gap feels huge from an older perspective. 25 dating 40 is way different than 35 dating 50. I don't know what I'm doing says, because it's only 2 months in and you're already basically living together and talking about marriage and kids now. This is all moving way, way, way too fast. It's concerning for a relationship without an age gap, but the age gap and the pressure he's putting are all very concerning. People use speed because it's easier to hide who they really are. If it moves quickly and you become pregnant and marry quickly, then he can drop the mask once you're trapped. Also think long and hard when people say things like, my ex was crazy, my ex was so toxic, you're so mature, you're way more mature than any of the women I've ever met before. These are so commonly used by manipulators. And then you have these older women saying this stuff. You cannot know someone after 2 months. People can mask quickly. The folks that are manipulators, the love bombers, want to get their hooks into you quickly. They want to put all of that pressure and make you feel so good, like, oh my God, you're everything that I've ever wanted in a man. They can do that for a couple of months, but they cannot keep that up because it's not really who that person is. Mary Yu says, because he is established, mature, ready to settle down and have kids, he wants a wife and kids now. He will pressure you into those things before you've lived any independent life. He has money and life experience. He will use those things to pressure you and manipulate you into everything he wants. You will always be at a disadvantage. He can't find a wife and mother his own age, so he found a young woman he can control. I know you think you're mature and independent, but the fact that he's love bombing you and already talking about marriage and kids gives away the ending. This guy is a walking red flag. Your internet mom. Banshee Matsuri says, a tale as old as time. Ambassador of Sphinx says, there is a wild power imbalance between the stages of life at 24 and 38. At 24, you're either finishing up college or still finding or rooting yourself in a career while earning savings and getting into the real aspects of adulthood. At 38, you should have everything ironed out. Most men in this situation use their independency to guide you, but in reality, they're just shaping you into the adult they want you to be. Worst case scenario, they are building you up to rely on them, so it's harder for you to leave because you haven't yet gained that independence. And of course, you have to ask yourself, why is he attracted to women my age? Why is he not interested in dating someone his age? And here's the OP. After she said all of that, she simply responds to, he says he's been on multiple dates with girls his age, and it just hasn't clicked the way we did. This is the reason why I say that this young lady, she's going to go through it. All of these women are saying these things. Women are giving advice. We're seeing things from the perspective of women who have lived this life and watched other women go through it. She's not ready to absorb any of this information, and that is okay. All we can do as older ladies, all that we can do as women that have gone through it is offer the information and know and understand that some women are not going to accept it, and that's okay. I personally know and understand that some women get frustrated with young women. I get it, but keep talking, because there are some young women that will see this and know and understand that we know what we're talking about. This woman is not ready for that. She's not going to listen to internet women, her parents. She's not going to listen to anybody except for him, because she is in love with him after 2 months. She's not ready to take the rose-colored glasses off. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and keep sharing, keep talking, because there are some women that are listening. There are some teenagers that are listening, and we're going to help somebody. Not particularly this woman, but we're going to help somebody today. Let me know what you think.
More breaking news for you out of war-ravaged Portland, where MAGA influencer Benny Johnson was with Kristi Noem today as she stares down an army of Antifa and a guy in a chicken suit from the rooftop of the ICE facility here in Portland. Please prepare yourself for the video I am about to show you. And I don't know about you, but I can practically feel the fear radiating off of Kristi Noem as she bravely stares down these dozens of Antifa and a man in a chicken costume. And then she asks him this question. In case you didn't hear it, she asked him, so is it typical to have this many here? And he did answer yes. It is typical to have dozens that make up an army of Antifa in costumes outside of the Portland ICE facility. I totally understand why they want to send in National Guards. This is absolutely terrifying.